Yesterday we said that we were going to, the thought for today was going to be about gratitude. Again, I'm reading, out of the book. And just real quick so we can clean up some housekeeping. I'm not going to read out this book so that you can't buy the book. Okay? I mean, you still need to go out and buy the book. Follow me on it. A lot of times, when you're reading, in order to get the full message, you kind of need to read what's before it and what's after it. So if you think I'm gonna sit here and read this whole book so you don't have to buy the book, okay, you're tripping, because I'm not. All right. Anyway, you can get it on Amazon.com, or you can go to my site, halfblackhalfwhite.com, and get it also. But today's subject is gratitude, and let me read out the book. Though I still find it difficult to accept today's pain and anxiety with any great degree of serenity, as those more advanced in the spiritual life seem able to do, I can give thanks for present pain nevertheless. I find the willingness to do this by contemplating the lessons learned from past suffering, lessons which have led to the blessings I now enjoy. I can remember how the agonies of the past, the pain of rebellion and thwarted pride have often led me to God's grace, and so to a new freedom. What I've learned from the past, I'm really supposed to carry on with me. And from my time out in the streets and everything I had been through younger, I look at it and I see that, maybe at that time I didn't see how God was carrying me. But today I can look at it and see how He was always there with me. And because He was always there with me in the past, He's going to be with me in the future. I mean, so the struggles that I have today, I have to look back in the past and say, you know what? God has always been there. When I haven't been constant, God has always been constant. So I don't need to worry about God's part. And if I'm grateful, I can see how, in the past, there was lessons I was supposed to learn. And some of the things today and the difficulties today, I'm also supposed to learn from. So I have to be grateful. And sometimes it's a forced gratitude because I may not like it, what's going on. And I often tell God that too. I'm like, you know what? I don't like, how you going about your business, but I'm gonna hang in there with you. And because you've always been there for me, So some of the times, my gratitude is a forced gratitude. Of course, when things are going well, we say, oh God, thank you so much. Jesus, thank you so much. But when things go bad, or things we think when things look like they're going bad anyway, let me say it that way because, it's real important, the distinction between the two, that we usually don't say, oh God, thank you for these difficult times, because I don't think that they're problems. I think that, God is always in control. And when things look like they're bad, I'm quick not to judge my situation or what's going on. If I'm gonna be there with God when things are good, I also have to be there with Him when things are bad. You see what I mean? I can't pick up God when I want and then set Him down and then pick Him up. I mean, I've learned that, either He is or He isn't. Either God is or He isn't. And I just had to make that choice. But if I'm going to believe in Him when things are good, I've also made a choice today that I'm gonna hang in there with Him when things look like they're bad. There was a quick story, and this isn't about me. This story happened during that 9/11 bombing. And there was a guy that worked at the Trade Center. He was driving to the Trade Center, and he had an accident. And I'm sure at that time he had the auto accident, I'm sure he was cussing and fussing and I'm going to be late, God dog this, whoa. And I'm sure at that time if you were to ask him, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I'm pretty sure he would have said, this is a bad thing. I mean, how can you say an accident is a good thing? Well, what ended up happening is because of the accident, he was late to work, and he wasn't there when the planes came crashing in. Which, now we look back at it and we could see that, it was a good thing for him. I mean, he's living. His family's still with him. He's still with his kids. I mean, so it ended up being a good thing. And I use that story just to show that, him being grateful at that time that it happened about the accident, or him realizing, okay, you know what, for whatever reason, God, this happened, and I'm grateful for this. And once we start training ourselves to be grateful for everything, then we kind of can have a real settled mind and not too quick to make judgment on what God is doing. If we believe that, okay, you know what, God, I know you're perfect. I know you're controlling my life. So obviously what I think is bad, it probably isn't. But let me settle down. Let me hang on. Because remember yesterday we were talking about hanging on to that rope or that branch until the miracle happens. And see, so all these lessons, they build. They just keep building, and that's what you're building. Is you're building a relationship with God. So all these lessons you take and say, okay, I learned that, and find out how they all connect together. So yesterday's lesson is a real connection, even today's lesson, because when those things happen, we just got to hang on and give things a little time. There's an acronym for time that I love to use. It's TIME, things I must earn. Now, and you know what? Tomorrow, that'll be the lesson for tomorrow. Is this thing about, I hear people say it all the time, about what they deserve. And they're all, I hear people say, well, I deserve this and I deserve that. Well, I got something to say about what people, deserve. And so what you deserve versus what is grace. That'll be tomorrow's lesson. But today, be grateful today. I mean, for the ones that are viewing this message, obviously you have electricity today. Obviously you were warm last night. If you're looking at this, you can see today. If you can hear it, you can hear today. So there's a lot of things to be grateful for. For some of us, it's a lot easier to find that gratitude. With me being homeless and me living on the streets and being locked up and being on drugs, it's easier. It's easy for me to find that gratitude. But you know what? I'm not gonna let you off the hook either, because we all have a story. We all have pain. The degree of the pain is dependent upon the person. It's not dependent upon what society says is the worst thing also. And that's another way, that's something else that, we're going to work on is what society says is happiness, what society says is pain, versus what is our happiness and what is our threshold for pain. So, we all have something to look at that has happened in our life and makes us grateful for today's situation. And there's something in your life today that you can be grateful for, whether it's your kids living, you eating, whatever it is. I remember